Hi VC, back again, James Griffiths, Vinyl Professor. Just a quickie today, just wanted to give you a quick Beatles update. Thanks to Jason at Funny Face for prompting me for this one. I'd mentioned to him a while ago that I'd managed to pick up some interesting Beatles things and I hadn't got round to showing them, and he asked me, so here I am at last, Jason, so thanks for that. Just while I'm mentioning Jason, I'm not a big expert on labels or first pressings or anything like that. I've never been that kind of collector. So, I mean, Jason is your man for that. I'm sure anyone who subscribes to me will be subscribing to him, and body of expertise coming through there with the labels and being able to recognise stuff. And I've had to ask him a couple of questions on occasion. So, Jason, you're the man. Thank you. Okay, so I managed to pick up a few Beatles Mono 60s albums in the wild over the last few weeks. I can only assume, well, what has possibly happened is that perhaps one person has basically dumped their collection into the various places around the town where I live, because you don't really see these albums very often, if at all, and they're all at a reasonable price. I'm going to start with this one. Just take it out of the bag. This is a mono edition of With the Beatles. Now, I'm just going to check on my little Discogs thing here. This is this edition is a second pressing, apparently, and it's in pretty good condition. It has a bit of scribble there, which is not too bad. On the back there is somebody has scrawled a bit of a signature there, but in general the sleeve is pretty good. It's all intact, there's no tape, and it's quite nice. The record is in pretty good condition, it plays well. Somebody has stuck a sticker on there of their name and address. I'm not going to give that away. Somebody who lives in Luton in Bedfordshire in England. But it's on the yellow Parlophone label. Plays really nicely. It's a great album to have in the original mono. I think lots of Beatles fans would agree with me that With the Beatles is a particularly fine effort by the boys. Their second album in the UK, and it really comes through with a massive burst of energy. Right from the first track, It Won't Be Long. I was talking to somebody recently who's a fair bit older than me, well, about 10 years older than me, and he says he can still remember when this album came out, what a shock it was to the system, because he said, back in those days, in the British charts, you had stuff like Cliff Richard and so on, and records that were quite kind of glossy and well produced and slick, and this was just a kind of burst of energy. And I still think to an extent that you have to hear the Beatles in mono, the early music anyway, to understand what the rush of energy was that they brought into British pop music. And what I love about this album is you can really hear the huge range of influences that the Beatles kind of absorbed, particularly girl groups actually, songs like Please Mr Postman, and also soul as well. You've got the classic version of Smokey Robinson's You Really Got a Hold on Me, with a brilliant vocal by John Lennon. Another girl band song, of course, is Money. It's just a cracking album, isn't it? To use Graham's terminology. Hi, Graham. So that was With the Beatles, and that cost me £6.99 for that. Amazing, isn't it? Okay, so coming up next, we have a mono version of Help. Now this one is a first pressing. This was £10. Again, the sleeve is in good condition. I'd say very good plus. Barely any ring wear, no tape, just a couple of stains down there. The record in the old tracing paper bag, once again, is the yellow Parlophone and PMC 1255, which apparently is the first press of Help. This replaces a version that I had already, which is a stereo version, which is from the Netherlands, date unknown. I've shown this on the VC once before, so really pleased to pick that up. Help, again, a great album from the Beatles. The album where they started really to integrate folk leanings, Bob Dylan's influence started to creep in. Just a really good concise set of songs, really excellent. It's quite funny actually, back in the day when I was a kid I did O-level music. For those of you who are not British, the O-level was the previous qualification to GCSE, and we had to do help was on the syllabus for O-level music, along with things like, you know, the Trout Quintet by Schubert, Penderecki's Threnody to the Victims of Hiroshima, Mozart's 40th Piano Concerto, you know, various very highbrow pieces, and they put help onto the syllabus just as a kind of sop, really. It was like, okay, let the kids have some pop music. Of course, this was in 1982, so really massively out of date, you know. But that was their idea of, you know, let's put some pop music on for the children, and they put this album on, you know, at least 10 or 15 years, you know, past its chart action. Anyway, I digress. The next album I want to show you is a copy of Revolver. Now then, this one is, again, it's mono. It's not a first edition. This was £5. I knew there was going to be something slightly wrong with it, because the guy I bought this off, this is from a market trader. The previous two were from charity shops. This is from my regular market trader who comes to town once a week. And what he does is, if there's something slightly wrong with the record, he writes on the inside sleeve, he kind of writes the price and he puts as found. And when you see that as found, you know that there's going to be something wrong with it. And what he normally does is, if he sees you looking at the record, he'll come over and he'll explain to you what's up with it. So that, like, there's a sort of big scratch on one side, or there's a lot of surface noise. Now, he didn't do it on this occasion, and I was slightly cross with him, because the record is fairly warped. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that. I might put a little clip on the turntable later so you can see it. Basically kind of, you know, wobbles all over the place. Now, side 1 plays all right. This is the yellow Parlophone label. But side 2 jumps, basically. And I have to put the smallest, lightest coin that I found that will work to hold the stylus down is a 5p piece, which is not ideal because you lose some of the fidelity, obviously, when you weigh down your stylus, and I don't like to do that. But side 2 won't play without that. But side 2 plays absolutely perfectly. There's not much surface noise, and it's interesting. I can't make up my mind about the mono version of Revolver. I mean, for years and years, long-term viewers to my channel will know the edition that I know is my dad's old first press, a stereo first press from 1966, and this is the album that I've had in my ears really since the age of about 5 or 6. So the stereo version of Revolver is what I know, and when I hear the mono, there's interesting things going on that you don't necessarily hear in the stereo, and it does sound good. But once you get to 66, I think, Revolver and the albums that came after, they were starting to be much more sophisticated, and in my view the stereo versions do more justice. Although you do have that slightly weird thing, like in Eleanor Rigby, where you have kind of, you know the vocals over there and the tambourine over there, or whatever. You know, it sounds a bit strange. So it's quite nice to have it on mono. And I was chuffed to, I was chuffed to pick it up at the price that I did, even though it's not in the best condition. Finally, 2 quick solo finds. Found a new copy, well, not a new copy, but a nice copy to replace my worn out one. I think this is a Spanish press of George Harrison's 1979 album, George Harrison, which is a very, very fine effort from George. That was from the same market trader that I bought Revolver from. And finally, from the same guy again, I picked up John Lennon, Rock and Roll, in very good plus condition, and that was £5. I'd like to talk about those last 2 albums, but I'm a bit conscious of the time, so I'm going to leave it there for now. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Please give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, VC. Bye.